to southern and eastern Kentucky. This is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. The Martin County Sheriff's Office laid off another employee this morning, along with cutting office hours in half. WYMT's Marianne Fletcher talked with one woman who says she fears for the older people in the community.
Working with a skeleton crew.
We're down to one employee in the sheriff's office.
Martin County Sheriff John Kirk laid off yet another employee Monday morning.
It's something I had to do. I don't have a choice. If I can't make payroll, I have to cut expenses.
He says the previous administration is to blame for the budget cuts.
If I was part of the past administration, I'd probably be ashamed to look the people in the eye.
Now the cuts are causing neighbors to worry.
It's sad. It's very sad.
Betty Fletcher says her mother lives more than 20 minutes away from the sheriff's office.
She's 81 years old, and a lot of things can happen in 20 minutes.
Even with a surveillance system and deadbolts, she still fears for the worst.
It's dangerous, and we worry about her. Even not just in the night, it's in the day too.
Fletcher says people need to take their safety in their own hands.
A lot of crime is going to happen, and people are going to have to take care of their own.
And sadly, Sheriff Kirk agrees.
The people are going to suffer. You know, we're having to basically cut out our law enforcement. We don't have time.
Making hard decisions in Martin County. Marianne Fletcher, WYMT Mountain News.
Sheriff John Kirk says Kentucky State Police will need to take over the majority of their calls.
I hope most of you got to get out this past weekend and enjoy the beautiful temperatures, and maybe a little bit earlier this morning, but cloud cover and rain chances, of course, returning back to the forecast. You can see that here on our Stonecrest cam right now. Very cloudy conditions and rain starting to move in just really all across eastern Kentucky. You can see that here on satellite and radar. We had that first round of rain just to the south into the Cumberland Valley, and now we're seeing that second round for much of eastern Kentucky. So if we scan the skies now, looking a little bit heavier, starting to move into Breathitt County, out of Lee County, even down into Laurel County. So I think the big Sandy region will start to get that rain that the Cumberland Valley saw just a little bit ago. Temperatures, though, they're still pretty warm, not too bad across eastern Kentucky. Those lower 60s to mid 50s really down into the Cumberland Valley due to the rain that moved through there. So we'll all start to cool off just a little bit as we head into those overnight hours. So really, as we head into the next couple of days, good news is that the warmer temperatures will continue, but those daily rain chances are also going to continue, and they're going to start to increase. A big cold front comes through at some point this week and cools us off once again. We'll break down those full forecasts coming up in just a little bit. Steve.
All right. Thank you, Paige. Investigators believe two Kentucky brothers froze to death after their vehicle broke down in sub-freezing weather. 72-year-old Obie Fugit and 67-year-old Roy Fugit were found Saturday by a family member outside their home in Boone County. The truck was found more than a half mile down the road. Family members last spoke to them on January 29th when temperatures were below freezing. Both died of hypothermia. A death investigation continues in Pulaski County after a body was found over the weekend. Police say the body was discovered by children in a wooded area near Ringgold Road. We're told the victim is a 52-year-old man who'd been missing for 7 to 10 days. No word yet on his name, but officials hope an autopsy will be able to tell them more about how he died. The Pentagon is sending more than 3,000 active-duty U.S. soldiers to the southern border as the president continues to threaten a national emergency to get his border wall. But a new CBS News YouGov poll shows a majority of Americans are not on board with a national emergency declaration. CBS's Nicole Killian has more from the White House.
3,750 U.S. troops are headed to the southern border. They will be installing wire barriers between ports of entry and providing support to Customs and Border Protection. This comes as President Donald Trump continues to make his case for stronger border security.
We're going to have a strong border, and the only way you have a strong border is you need a physical barrier, you need a wall.
In an interview with CBS Face the Nation moderator Margaret Brennan, the president would not rule out another government shutdown or a national emergency declaration to get wall funding.
Would you shut down the government again?
Well, we're going to have to see what happens on February 15th. And
you're not taking it
I
off the
think,
table.
well, I don't take anything off the table. I don't like to take things off the table. It's that alternative. It's national emergency.
A new CBS News YouGov poll shows that a majority of Americans do not want the president to declare a national emergency in order to build a southern border wall.
66% of Americans are against it. Even Senate Republicans are unsure how a national emergency declaration would turn out.
Do you think there are enough votes in the Senate to approve of Trump's national emergency declaration?
Well, we'll have to see what would happen. That would all probably play out in court some way, but the preferable way is through the appropriation process.
Ahead of his State of the Union address Tuesday night, the president told reporters he would make a decision on declaring a national emergency soon.
Congress and President Trump have a February 15th deadline to avoid another partial government shutdown. An American jury is deliberating the fate of a Mexican drug lord. Deliberations began today in Joaquin El Chapo Guzman's trial. He's pleaded not guilty to charges that include international drug distribution and continuing a criminal enterprise. Testimony against Guzman included accusations of murder, torture, and tunnel escapes. If he's convicted, Guzman could spend the rest of his life in prison. A jail is being sued after it lost power for a week, leading to conditions that some call inhumane. A fire led to a power outage at a federal detention center in New York City. The suit says the jail also violated inmate rights by denying visitors during the outage. Yesterday, some demonstrators stood outside the jail and urged inmates to bang on the windows. Other protesters tried to get inside the facility. Power went back on at the jail last night. The Justice Department says it's working with the Bureau of Prisons on a backup system to prevent another outage. Kentucky's newest Supreme Court justice was sworn in today. Deborah Hembry Lambert was elected in November. Her district covers 27 counties in southern and south central Kentucky. She previously served as an appellate judge. Before that, she was a circuit judge for Lincoln, Pulaski, and Rockcastle counties. It is a reminder that spring is on the way. We are now 68 days away from the Kentucky Derby Festival's opening ceremony. This year marks the 30th anniversary of Thunder over Louisville. The theme will be the wonderful world of thunder. Officials say it will feature a soundtrack of songs from fairy tales and animated movies, and there will be something for everyone to enjoy. Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, hate crimes from murders to attempted bombings are being undercounted around the country. A look at the crimes and who's not submitting the numbers just ahead. And do you think Atlanta is the busiest airport in the country? Well, not anymore. We'll have that and more in your Money Watch report.
Coming up tonight at 6, I'll tell you how a water shortage is not stopping one Perry County school from having classes.